Hi everyone and welcome back. Are you excited? This is going to be the last week of embroidering the actual blocks of our quilt. I'm so excited to wrap up these blocks and then we'll start tackling the borders for the project, which will happen not next week, but the week after. So this week we're going to be tackling, like I said, the final embroidered blocks. We have the Home for Christmas, the Deck the Halls, the car, which has two options and we'll talk about. And then there is the first half of Cheer and the second half of Cheer that we will be working on this week. These blocks should be a piece of cake after, what are we at, 8 weeks of doing this. These are very, very easy blocks. The most important reason as to why I left these to the end, because if you are not able to do these larger size blocks in your machine, there are some alternate designs, or they've split the designs into smaller pieces, so that they can be embroidered in a alternative way, for lack of a better word. So you're still able to create that design, but just have 2 steps in doing so. So with that, on the CD, there is a folder that I believe reads alternate block that we'll look at here in just a moment. We're going to start with, well, actually, we're going to start with our checklist. So a very short checklist this week. Again, so exciting, as it's a good week for me because we are prepping to be leaving today. Actually, our annual Retreat Yourself weekend it starts this afternoon. So excited. We will be joined with lots of people for a weekend of sewing. We will sew from Wednesday afternoon till Sunday afternoon. Very, very exciting. So a nice light week for me is perfect. So we're going to start with the Home for Christmas block this week. Going to be very easy. In BERNINA, we're going to be using a mega hoop. If you are not doing quilting in the hoop for this project, this will actually fit in a large oval. So if your only option in the world of BERNINA is your large oval or your oval hoop, you will not have to worry about the alternate multi-hooped design. Okay, this actually fits into our 5x7 hoop. That is a definite pro that we have for having oval hoops. Everybody always thinks that it is a bad thing, but for once we actually have a good option here, or a good reason to have an oval hoop. Therefore, down the middle of our hoop, we have closer to an 8-inch span, and because this design is not super wide, it fits. We're going to be using the 4x10 vertical tree design, our same stabilizer there in the hoop that we have been using the entire time. So our light mesh cutaway, or in the world of OESD, our poly mesh. We're going to open up this 4x10 tree design. Make sure that when you open it, your trees are running sideways. This design is going to embroider sideways so that when we turn it right side up, our trees will be the right direction. We're going to add in the Home for All Hearts Come Home for Christmas design, and we're just going to leave it centered. Okay, nothing, no moving, no anything. We're going to go ahead and work through the embroidery of the quilting. So you'll put your placement line in, lay down your batting, tack it down, trim your batting, skip color stop 3, put your fabric right side up centered over the batting, and then quilt. Okay, Once we are quilted, we will start embroidering the design. A nice, easy two-color design. Red for the words, black for the swirl. Or feel free to make these any color of your choice. And through this magic, I've actually gone through and have already done my quilting. I actually went through and did all the quilting for all the blocks that we're going to have for this week. So that was already finished. So let's go ahead and dive into embroidering out this block. Now these blocks have nice long color stops. So while you are running these designs, if you wanted to pull out your blocks and do a little bit of organizing, you can. Okay, so we have in our book, let's look here, on page 63, we have a chart here that is showing us what blocks go in what sections. So if you wanted to work through getting all your blocks grouped into sections, you can go ahead and label them sections 1, 2, and 3. That way, next week when we are ready to start sewing all this together, you won't have to be organizing when your design is finished, we're going to go ahead and take it out of the hoop, set it to the side, and then we're going to reset ourselves to stitch the car. So depending upon the car that you're going to do is going to depend upon which design you open. I'm going to be doing the station wagon that you see here. So I am going to create my embroidery design. So I'm going to open my 4x10 quilting design. Okay, so again, we're using that 4x10 vertical tree. Make sure your trees are standing on their sides. I'm then going to add my car to that file. Okay, and we're going to leave him centered just like we've been doing. We're going to run through all the color stops, appliquing down the car. Nothing fancy. Everything is just like we have been doing. And we're going to work through this and create ourselves a car. So again, if you are doing the quilting in the background, you are going to need that mega hoop. If you are not doing the background quilting, you can actually fit this car into the BERNINA large oval. Okay, and then you can stitch the station wagon. If you don't have a BERNINA and don't have a 5x7 hoop or the ability to do, a 6x10 design, then you may want to opt for that optional Volkswagen that is underneath the folder 7 on the CD under alternate 5x7 blocks. All right, so let's get to stitching. So again, I have already done my quilting for this design. The first 4 color stops are going to work through the applique of our car. So I am going to do this in all neutral colors. All of the applique is going to get covered with some sort of satin stitching. So I'm just going to do this in a neutral. So first up is I am going to run the placement line for my car fabric. Once I have a placement line, I'm going to place my car fabric right side up, covering all of that placement line. I am going to tack it down. So I'm going to run color step 2 to tack it down. And then I am going to trim the fabric as close to the stitching line as I can. All right, let's get our car appliqued. Now once your design is complete, so you have your Velcro appliqued and you've stitched those trimming lines, okay, you can go ahead and take this design out of the hoop and we will set ourselves up to work on Cheer 1, which will be our final embroidered design for this project. Let's start creating the Cheer 1 block. Cheer 1, if you are doing quilting in the hoop, is going to require the maxi hoop. We're going to work through the same steps that we have been working through with all of the other blocks. So poly mesh in the hoop, we have our quilt design is loaded. However, with the embroidery design is going to be centered left to right, but we need to move it a ½ inch down from the top of the quilting design. So I'm going to kind of do this design different so that I can know exactly where a ½ inch is down from the top of the quilting design. So we're going to go through and we're going to go ahead and quilt the design in the maxi hoop, just like we have on everything else. So we have our design quilted here. Let's see if you can see that. There we go. So once your design is quilted, pop your hoop off the machine, and the instructions tell us that ½ inch from the top of the quilting design, and in the graphic she's showing you a ½ inch from the top of the design to just the start of the letter E. So what I did was I took a ruler from that line that's holding our fabric in place. I'm going to mark a ½ inch mark, okay, just a water-soluble friction pen, some sort of pen that will disappear. So I'm just going to draw a very faint line at a ½ inch, okay. Once I have that line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my design to the quilting design, okay, on the machine. We're going to add the design. We need to do some moving of the design. So let's take a look at how we need to move that design. Okay. So we need the letter E, the beginning of the E, to basically be a ½ inch down. If we look at like the BERNINA plastic templates, the grid in the template is not quite, 2 grids is not quite a ½ inch. Okay, so oops, it's not like we can really count the number of grids. It becomes challenging to know if we're super exact. So we have on our machines that virtual positioning option. And if you remember or know what that is, that means that we can touch anywhere on our embroidery design and the machine will move to that point. With our hoop on the machine, we're going to zoom in. So I'm going to hit the plus sign and then I'm going to pan over so that I can see the edge of my letter E. Okay. I'm going to then just touch right there at the end of the letter E to the best of my ability. And if you don't get it exact, you know, just touch again until you do get exact. So if we look over at the machine, okay, on my screen, I've already zoomed in and I'm touching parts of the letter E. And so my machine is now moved. I just moved it so that right where this needle is going to drop is going to be that beginning of that letter E. And my line is up here. So I'm going to use my stitch length knob to move my design straight up until that needle drops down into that line. Okay. Once my needle has dropped into my line, then I know my design is positioned a ½ inch from the beginning of my quilting. Okay. And then we are ready to work through the remainder of the embroidery design. Yep, let's get that out of the way. The remainder of the embroidery design, is just all color stops. So we have the phrase "have a cup," and then we have all of the remaining letters in the word cheer. Right. Let's go ahead and start stitching. Runs as it is a long one. We're going to go ahead and head over and take a look at how to trim up our blocks. And then we'll come up and trim this one up when we're finished. So we'll start with cheer 1, since that's the one I have on top here. So cheer 1 is going to get squared up to a 6.5 inch finished block. So you're going to grab your 6.5 inch orange pop ruler. And we're going to make sure that the trimming guides on the left and right inner edge of the ruler, okay, so the trimming guides should, for the most part, probably have stitched right on top of the line that is holding down our quilting. And we're just going to align that, making sure that's to the inside of the ruler. And we're going to visually center this top to bottom. I like to put that other one there. And you're going to trim around. That's going to give me my cheer 2. I'm going to put those away. And we're going to get out the next block. We're going to do is we'll start with the car. Okay. So our car is going to be trimmed up to 4.5 by 10.5. Okay. So we're going to use a couple of rulers. We're going to use all 3 rectangles actually to get this 4.5 by 10.5 size. Okay. We're going to only be cutting the top and bottom edge first. Okay, so I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to turn my house on its side here. Excuse me. I'm going to turn my car on its side. And I'm finding my 4.5. Okay, so the inside smallest rectangle is 4.5. So we are centering that, okay, along that edge right there so that we can trim top and bottom. We're only cutting the way that I have this oriented. We're only cutting left and right, okay? Do not cut through your car. Okay. We're going to remove the 2 inner rectangles. And we're now going to position this along the outside edge, kind of centering this. Okay. This is your 8.5 by 10.5 ruler. And then we're going to cut left and right. And then we have these sections that aren't cut completely. So we're gonna take a regular ruler and we'll extend those carefully out. And I'm going to use my ruler, which is a 4.5-inch ruler, just to measure. And we have our car. Now, all Hearts Come Home from Christmas are done in the same manner. So we will go ahead and trim that one up as well.